Hey everyone, this is Josh back with Cardboard Chronicles, and in this episode, I'm sitting down with Bennett. Bennett is a high-end collector from Texas who collects mostly Steph Curry and also LeBron James, and he also has a pretty decent Kawhi Leonard collection. Bennett was recently banned from Blowout Forums, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about his opinions on the future of the hobby and also some background into his relationships in the hobby and how he looks into those and how he builds on those relationships. So we got a lot to get into. Hope you guys enjoy it. And don't forget to check out howtocollectcards.com, a website I created dedicated to helping collectors of all skill levels build their collections. Feeling like you just don't know where to begin, you don't know what all these different things mean within the hobby, I've created this dictionary and I'm giving it away completely free. It has over 120 terms, all the terms that you need to know to get started collecting cards. We're also offering an advanced training course that is comprised of 17 different parts, everything from learning what cards you should be focused on buying for yourself, what cards are worth, where to buy the cards, when to buy cards to save yourself the most money, how to avoid different mistakes within the hobby that a lot of people make. It's just got everything that you need to be successful collecting cards, so please check that out. We've also got a bunch of new bonus content, and any new content that I create for the training course gets added for free. So if you've bought the course already, you're going to get all that new content, and it's free for life. I'm going to keep adding stuff to it. There's always going to be new content helping everyone. So please check it out. It's really extensive. It's got tons of great information. I think it's going to bring a lot of value to a lot of people. Hey everyone, here's Bennett. How's it going, man?
Doing good. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing good. You ready to talk some basketball cards?
I'm ready, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, for sure. Hey, so why don't you start us off? Tell us about yourself and your background in the hobby.
Yeah, sure thing. So my name is Bennett Miller. I'll be 32 next month. I've got a wife of almost 8 years. We've got an 18-month-old son. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, just down the highway here from Dallas. I'm going to give you kind of more background than your previous guests have kind of given you, and I think the purpose of it, it'll kind of make sense later, so bear with me. But when I was, I think, like 10, my parents told my brother and I have a twin, that if we ever wanted a car, we'd have to save for it ourselves. So that always have kind of given me kind of a draw towards being ambitious, I guess, saving well, stuff like that. So, from lemonade stands to passing out flyers in our neighborhood, trying to start our own business to, watch their pets and water the plants while they're out of town, little stuff like that has always kind of been with me. I got a job in a restaurant when I was 16, waiting tables. Learned a lot about how to deal with people, learned a lot about dealing with the public. After about a year, I had some decent money saved up. I mean, I thought that was a lot for me at the time for a teenager. So I got involved in the stock market, learned a lot of fun lessons there. Never really got rich, was gracious enough or lucky enough not to lose at all. But from there, I learned a lot about how to kind of research, learned a lot about investing, learned a lot about scandalous CEOs and stuff like that. So I went off to college. I went to a small university in San Antonio called Trinity University. I was a finance and accounting major there. Then I went to University of Texas, San Antonio, and got my master's in accounting. From there, I started working in public accounting, hated it, left after a year. Went to a small real estate firm where I'm now a financial analyst, CPA, do a lot of financial reporting. I wear a lot of hats because it's a small company. So I keep the books for a few properties. I do property management. I do checklists for due diligence whenever we're doing refinances, sales, acquisitions, stuff like that. So I really gotten to see a lot of sides of business. We have a few properties here that have a bunch of small business owners. So I've kind of gotten to see the people that kind of come and, who look all good and nice and they're going to pay your rent. And they're ones that don't. So I feel like I've kind of gotten a pretty good handle on things as far as people that I can trust and stuff like that. And I'll explain why later. But so as far as the hobby goes, I collected when I was a kid. It was fun. I never really did it for anything other than just the fun of it. About 2 years ago, I got back into the hobby. A friend of mine that I worked with, he told me he was making a bunch of money on basketball cards. And I kind of thought, if he can do it, I can do it too. So I dove in. I did a ton of research, kind of tapping into my stock research days. I also kind of got into it probably sooner than I should have. There's just so much to learn. There was definitely some baptism by fire. Made some bad mistakes in the beginning, as far as, pissing people off, because, I'd buy a raw card that was listed brand new, and it'd have, like natural defects when you open it from a pack, but I thought the cards were supposed to look perfect. So if I had like a print dimple or like chipping on the corners, I returned a couple and had some bad experiences and quickly stopped that. I just started buying graded cards. So after about a year of collecting, I had made really good money flipping. I'd gotten lucky on some crossovers, lucky on some grades, for some raw cards actually. And I made really good money. And after doing more analysis of what to buy and who I liked as far as, downside protection, upside potential, there's a certain card I wanted. And so I joined Blowout Forums to try to get the card. I'd heard about Blowout. I never really looked at it too much, but I got on there. And really, honestly, that's where I fell in love with the hobby. There were such good people, people that were just truly collectors that were in it for just the fun, like you and like Adam, other guys that I saw in there. I was just so encouraged by it, just by the passion. So I got into high-end collecting from there on. I messaged a guy on there if he still had his Steph Curry RPA, and he was like, I don't have it, but I know someone that does. I'll refer you to him. And I messaged with him about some basketball and some other stuff. And anyways, he was a really trustworthy guy to me. So he referred me to a guy in Hawaii, and I bought his Steph Curry RPA. I got it here. This one right here. You can see that.
It's a nasty patch.
Yeah, I liked it. So anyways, I guess take a quick step back. In my first year of collecting, like I said, I made some good money, and a lot of it was from dealing direct, believe it or not. I just was a high volume guy. eBay takes their 10%, PayPal takes their 2.9%. And so I kind of thought if I could cut out that middleman, I'd be in business. So I took a lot of risks as far as dealing direct. I did a lot of transactions with no buyer protection. I do not recommend that to anybody. But I feel like just from a few questions here and there, you kind of get to learn about somebody. So I started getting to high end. I got the Steph Curry RPA. I met another Hawaiian collector that someone else on Blowout had referred me to. I got this card. This is one of my favorite cards. This is I don't know if you can see it. This is a Kevin Durant, LeBron, exquisite dual auto. The guy, when he was selling it to me, he was like, there's 5 of this card, and then there's the dual logo man auto. And other than that, there's no other exquisite patch autos for LeBron and KD. And I said, okay, that sounds good. And I didn't know a ton about how to value cards at the time. So I thought, to me, that sounded great. There's 2 Hall of Famers on one card. And I'm like, he's like, so how much will you pay? And I said, I didn't want to throw out a price. So I said, how much is it? And thinking it would be like astronomically high. And he gave me such a low price. And I was just like, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll buy that. And I tried to play it cool. But yeah, so from there, it's just kind of been a few flips here and there, dealing direct with some people. You meet some person, you do a deal, and they kind of refer you to somebody else. It's just been a ton of fun. I got into it for money, and unfortunately, like many people, I've turned into a collector now. Totally addicted, totally love it, appreciate the cards themselves, appreciate kind of each card's place in history, appreciate how it kind of represents that player's, place in history. And kind of it's a piece of their history. So full-fledged nerd from now on. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm here.
It's kind of funny to hear that, because I remember talking to you a while back, and it was definitely about the money. And then I kind of see the same thing with a lot of guys, and myself included. It's like the money is always going to be there, but then it always just like falls back to the cards themselves, and like you just sort of get hooked, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you make some money on a card. I think most people find, money's not happiness. You make money on a card, and you just want the next dollar. I think, was it JP Morgan? Someone asked him how much is enough money, and he did just one more dollar. Money is certainly not happiness. So I continue to collect just for the relationships in it, the relationships I've made, continuing to talk to them, and just appreciating the cardboard, as nerdy as that sounds. It's just it's a ton of fun.
So what's your focus right now? Are you just kind of like moving to the next big thing in high-end cards, or do you have some sort of focus that you're going after?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've actually kind of just been sitting tight. I just I just did some big buying. I sold a rental house pretty recently and put that money into the card market. And so I just did some buying. I won't say what, but as far as next steps, it's just kind of hold, continue to, do some relationship building. I just love talking to collectors. I'm getting to know some more overseas collectors, which is something I kind of wanted to bring up. They are, I would say on the whole, or just in general, a lot different from U.S. collectors. They I feel like appreciate the beauty of the cards a lot more, and that's what they do it for. And they know their stuff about basketball too. It's pretty impressive. But they're not as into graded cards. They don't really care. I've asked one or two, and I've made offers on their cards before I offer. I'd say, how's the condition? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, here's the card. Like, it looks beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But so it's so encouraging to see that, though. I think here in the United States, we get so caught up in what's the card's value. And to them, they kind of have their own value on it, right? I made some pretty aggressive offers, and people just turn it down. And it's like, no, thanks. I don't know where else I could get this card, so I'm not going to sell it. And so I respect that. So as far as what my next step is, it's just kind of hold. I'm going to be holding. I don't transact a lot these days. I didn't for several months. So yeah, man, that's kind of me right now.
So you jumped into the overseas stuff, and I know you want to talk about it. So what sort of relationships are you trying to build over there? And is it to try to find some more rare cards, or what's the angle, or what's the what's the play trying to build?
Man, it sounds so cheesy, but like I don't really have an angle as far as trying to acquire anything or trade anything. I'm really comfortable with my collection. I love what I have. I can't imagine getting rid of some of the stuff. It's just, to me, it's kind of all about like the relationships and just learning more about them, and also kind of like their culture and their personalities. Like that's probably my favorite thing about the hobby is not just the relationships themselves, but getting to learn about other people's cultures and families. And I'm not hitting them up saying, hey, what's going on in your life? What are you doing? Like, who do you know and stuff like that. But you kind of subtly kind of go in there and just talk to people, and it's pretty fascinating, some people's stories and why people collect. I think it's great stuff. So
have you found some killer rare stuff over there? Because I know a lot of them don't like to share what they have, and that's part of the culture. They like to keep it to themselves sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Some guys will show me stuff that they just bought or something like that, and I just, I'll look at it like 20 times the next day. I'm like, I can't believe that some of these cards I didn't even know existed. And I'm still learning a lot about cards as far as sets go, and certain cards that do exist. So that's been a lot of fun. But like I said, overall, the relationships is what it's all about. There's a couple guys here in the United States too that I've just met, and just such nice guys. I'm going to kind of roughly transition to back to Blowout. Like I said, I joined it about a year ago to try to find these Steph Currys, and I found a couple. And in the process, I got really tussled up in some high-end thread. There was a thread involved with the LeBron RPA being trimmed, and some guy posted, I guess, a message board about it. That's not the word, but I found out who had him, and it was a guy I had an extra grind with, and so I threw him under the bus. And anyways, long story short, I kind of got to know the guy better. I really, really don't think he was involved in it whatsoever. So I tried to defend him, and then another guy that I knew, another high-end collector, kind of came in there and tried to defend himself, and then people were bashing on him, and everyone was bashing on these people, and people were bashing on me. I got extremely immature. It was just kind of really pathetic, and I went on a really arrogant rant about high-end collectors in general. And I don't think that speaks to any of the other high-end collectors as far as the ethos they have or how they view other collectors. But I ended up getting banned from the forum, not because of the rant. They said that I had another account on Blowout, which I don't. I'll testify under like a grand jury that I didn't have another account. But one way or another, I think I definitely deserved the ban for the rant. It was, like I said, it was just I can't even articulate how childish it was, and it was wrong on all accounts. So, but yeah, I just I was really upset, and not that this is an excuse, but I was really upset about how people, and they still view it on the forum, how they view high-end collectors. There's so much scandal as far as trimming and patch swapping, and I think people conflate all collectors, all high-end collectors, are people that do it for investing. They they conflate them with these trimmers and all that stuff, and they just want to take out all their anger towards that crowd. And I mean, from the high-end guys that I've met, there's one guy I've met that I wish he weren't in the hobby. He's a high-end guy out of New Jersey. Other than that, I mean, I can give you 20, 25 guys that are just such nice guys, older guys. They collect for all kinds of reasons. They consider it a good investment, but they do it, they've collected their whole lives, and they're not nearly as immature and arrogant as I showed I was on that forum. I've learned a ton from them. Fifth Down Sports is a big guy that's really mentored me well. Lair 911. I mean, I wish those guys were like my life coaches. I don't know how to ask them, but those guys are just so nice, so genuine. And I've seen it a couple other times. A couple other names have been dragged through the mud on Blowout, and it's guys that I know. And people put together these puzzles from based on stuff they've said in the past, or your eBay account, and it's like, I've talked to that person before, and there's just no chance in heck. I can't even get started on Adam, the 27 guy. His name got dragged through the mud from that LeBron thread where he withheld some information. As far as people thinking he was doing it maliciously, like he's some con artist as well, and he got his hands in the cookie jar, and he's trying to get money from other people. It blows my mind. You look at everything that he says on the forums. Yes, he pumps his cards. We all pump our cards. We say this card's great or why we like it, and so we get accused of doing this for the wrong reasons. I mean, I'd love to hear from you. I saw there was a thread where someone was trying to mock your how to collect cards, and people accuse you of doing this for other reasons. How does that make you feel, or how do you respond to that?
Yeah. I mean, you've said a lot of stuff that I have to respond to. So I'll start by saying there are a lot of bad people out there in the hobby, and there's a lot of people taking advantage of things, and there have been people caught doing bad things. And to your point, a lot of other people have been kind of dragged into it based on their level of collecting in the high-end collecting world.
Yeah.
Some unfairly, some fairly. For my personal thing, yeah, I mean, I just take it as on forums, there's always going to be someone that doesn't like you or is mad about something you're doing or whatever. But I kind of just ignore a lot of that, because I know what I'm doing, and I'm doing it for the right reasons. So I know a lot of people that I'm with in the hobby that are my friends and stuff know what I'm doing. So I don't really have to worry about the other people. I did my best to try to defend myself, explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I've, to this day, still had a lot of people really excited about how to collect cards, and people reach out to me asking questions. Paying customers reach out to me every day asking me stuff, and none of them have any problems with how it's gone. So
Good.
those are the people that I have to answer to, and so those are the ones that are the ones that I care about their opinion. So I'll leave it at that. The forum is tough, and I know you've been through some stuff with the forum, and I know it's been rough. I know a lot of people watching this are going to be angry and put the puzzle together of who you are, and it's going to be this big deal. So, I don't know, man. The whole thing it's messy. The forum in general, I really, I don't want to say one side or another. It's just no matter what I say, it's going to get picked apart. So I kind of just let it go.
That's why I was so reticent to even come on here. I feel like anything, if I talk about the high end community, if I mention anyone's name, I talk about overseas collectors, I feel like people are going to question my motives. I'm just grandstanding to try to win favor with overseas collectors, and I'm just trying to, free people's names so they'll do business with me. I mean, I just feel like they grab any single thing you say and they'll try to find some puzzle to it. And I haven't mentioned a couple.
I've done deals with a lot of high-end guys outside of the forums, just in my own one-on-one, and I know you have as well. So I kind of make my own opinions about those people. And a lot of people who those opinions have been made on the forum are the opposite of what I've had. They'll say one person's great, he's the best citizen on the whole forum, and I have the opposite opinion when I deal with them. And then they'll say someone's a scumbag, and I actually have the opposite. So it's you kind of just make your own opinions based on your interactions with those people when dealing with them. And I think the best approach is just trying to find those people yourselves and make your own opinions.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. One thing that also just baffled me when I joined Blowout, once I got into the high end world, I guess a little bit, And I'm making it sound like the high end world is like this, like different part of the hobby. I mean, it's not. There's high end collectors that collect all kinds of stuff. But anyways, there was some thread. I think Nick was the one that started it or bumped it, but he's like, how much is a LeBron RPA going for these days? How much is it going for? And he was in the market to get one, so he was doing his due diligence. And of course, now they've accused him of like pumping it or something. But anyways, I know of like 7 guys on that forum that have one, but no one ever mentions it. And like I knew of like transactions that went down, and like for that LeBron RPA, but no one would ever answer the question in the forum. And that was always just so like it always baffled me. I'm like, why did we never answer this? And recently there was some guy posted, what's the going rate for a KD RPA, a Steph RPA, and a LeBron RPA? And I know of a lot of guys that I know what they'd pay for it, but no one talks about it. And so there's just this, there's not a flow of information there, and people just assume the worst, that it's been bid up and it's been manipulated by all these a-hole high-end collectors that all they care about is money. And it just blows my mind.
So why do you think people aren't telling you what they paid? Because they don't want to get attacked?
Sorry, I'm saying, why don't they want to post on the forum how much they paid for the car?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Why do you think that they're not doing that?
I think because people are just going to say you're lying. You're just trying to increase the value of your card. You're trying to pump it. You're trying to manipulate the market. I mean, that has to be why. I've never asked them point blank, why don't you post this on there? But I know of, like I said, 7 owners that I know have accounts on there, and they've never answered the questions. You have to ask them why.
So
do you know why they don't?
I think they just don't want to get attacked in the forum. So
attacked for what purpose though? That they're trying to pump the card?
I mean, you've seen like there's been one person that posted what they paid and they got like ripped to shreds and called a liar.
I didn't see that. Oh, you mean Fifth Down?
Yeah, so I don't really like.
Yeah,
one person would post like proof and they're getting ripped. So I mean, like, it's obviously proven that there's no point.
There's a great example. Like I think he posted the check, and there were guys that were doubting that it was a legitimate check, and there was like, I was just, oh my gosh, like how many rabbit holes are going to go down? I mean, no one believes anything, and honestly, for good reason. That there's some cynicism, and that and there's a lot of those collectors are really sharp guys, and it's hard to they're not going to fall for some of that, but you got to believe some of it, or you have to at least use some kind of judgment. And some guys just tear apart anything.
So where's the line though? Because I think in the hobby there definitely are people pumping the market and doing it for bad reasons. I can't prove it, or I don't know specific people that are doing it. Some of these people we're bringing up may be even responsible for it. Where's the line for you of where it's no longer okay to do what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know that line. I know that I try not to post a lot of stuff about why I think this card's undervalued and stuff like that. I might talk with a personal friend once I bought the card, why I think it's valuable and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you as far as like lying, I know the New Jersey guy I was telling you about that he's the one guy I've had a bad experience with, or I got a really bad feel for. Like he told me what kind of offers he was getting on one of his cards. And I'm like, I bet those are all lies. And I caught him in a lie about a card he claims he had sold for a high price. And he was just trying to get other people to believe it so they buy up the card. Where the line is about, pumping versus just appreciating a card, I don't know that there is one, man. I really don't. I wish there was a set one so people would stop breaking the rule and then being accused of all kinds of nefarious behavior. But it's a damn shame.
So people are going to pretty much figure out who you are from Blowout. So what do you have to say to the people on Blowout, or what?
Oh, I'll tell. I thought I'd introduce myself. Sorry. Yeah, my name's Bennett. I'm Devin Currant. Man, as far as what I have to say to him, I'm so sorry. I apologize to one of the guys that I was directly completely an a-hole to. But that was definitely the lowest of my lows. I hadn't read that thread until like 2 months ago, and I just like was turning red in the face and was just so ashamed of myself. I had someone message that guy, but I've never told my wife about it until now. When I told her I was doing this interview with you, it's been like my most shameful moment, and I never wanted to see this out of me. But anyways, yeah, it's just it was extremely embarrassing. And the reason I guess I wanted to rectify it the most wasn't necessarily for my own personal gain. I guess it's more so to hopefully kind of cure some of, I guess, the tension between the high end community and anyone that doesn't do high end cards. Because again, that's not representative of the high end community. Like, I've mentioned his name a few times, but like Fifth Down is a guy that's so smart. When I kind of called him and told him what I did, he was like, man, that was, that wasn't nice. Like that wasn't, that's not good. And those guys don't view any low end collector that way. Those guys are not arrogant. They have so much respect for the hobby. And so, that was just me it was just manifestations of, pain, insecurities, just trying to bring people down. And it was really, really bad. And I was big time in the wrong. So.
Well, there's clearly like this built up tension on the forum. I don't really sense it as much outside the forum. Like on Instagram, I'm not sensing it as much, but definitely on the forum. What do you think is like the root of the problem, and what can we do as a hobby community to try to fix it?
It's a great question. So I know a lot of money is sort of flowing into the hobby. I think it was like 3-4 years ago or so, as far as when stuff started getting really expensive. There's guys that collect for all kinds of reasons, and there's kind of this innate, if you collect for money, it's innately more wrong, or it's just not as pure. And so there's always going to be kind of that natural tension. How do we rectify that? How do we reconcile that? I think a big thing is, respecting kind of the unwritten rules of the hobby. I saw there's something on there. Some guy bought a card from a guy on eBay, and another guy messaged that seller being like, hey, you sold it too low. And like, that's a huge, huge no-no. Like the guys in the high end world that I know, they would never do something like that. But just little behaviors like that. I think those go a long way. Doing what I did, returning a raw card when it's listed as brand new. It's got like a printable, don't return it. But yeah, that's you put me on the spot. I don't know that's a really complex answer. Do you have an answer?
No, I don't. It's hard, dude. I mean, to be honest, like I kind of came into the hobby and made the channel to try to do that, and it's like backfired on me in certain instances, and I've sort of like, I almost feel like it's almost more divided in some aspects. Some ways it's not. I don't know. It's really tough. I think it's just like the nature of people. Like we just have to pick sides sometimes, and it's really tough. Like I don't know. It's a hard.
Well, like people, I saw some people give you some criticism on that thread that was started about, how to collect cards or whatever, and people were tearing you apart, accusing you of, trying to get rich quick, and they were just completely questioning what your motives. And my first thing is like, have they subscribed and looked at the content? Like, is the content wrong? Is the content giving them something where they're going to lose money and they're just going to be putting money in your pocket? If that's the case, then yeah, shame on you. I haven't subscribed to How to Collect Cards, so I can't give an answer to that. But just the automatic, you're going to charge people $28. Shame on you. And, you're just trying to, this is predatory practice of trying to get new money into the hobby so you can get, I mean, again, it's a humongous leap. It's a cynicism. I'm shocked that I see.
Yeah, I mean the whole basis of why I started it was that I felt a lot of new people that came in got burned and they like lost a ton of money.
Oh yeah.
So it was actually like a cheaper way to not get destroyed by the hobby, is how I saw it. But people saw it as like, oh, you're intercepting the newbies and charging them all this money. And so, I mean, my initial intention got totally twisted and turned around, where it was like, man, I thought that was like as pure as it gets in what I was trying to do, but it got taken the wrong way. So, whatever. There's nothing I can really do about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm good for you for being strong and moving forward with it. I don't know if I'd have the strength to do that. I probably just would have gone by the wayside. But it's $28. Like, I can't imagine that someone's going to be out of pocket and going homeless over spending $28 and learning how to, buy cards. But again, I haven't read the content. So if you're telling these guys they need to buy Ben Simmons rookie cards and you can't go wrong, then yeah, that's bad. So,
I mean, there's people coming in dropping thousands of dollars on rookies who've never been an all-star, and like, they're taking some investment advice on this guy's the next big thing. You should cash out your 401k and invest in this guy. That, there's all kinds of stuff like that. And it's like, that's the crazy stuff. You don't want to be risking your future. And I'm trying to teach people how to be more deliberate and like understand and research and gain more knowledge in the hobby. And I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. You mentioned, spending $1,000 on a rookie. I want to show one more card here. I'm not trying to pump it. I don't give a rip. I'm not selling it. I'm not buying more. But this is Chris Paul's RPA. Now, it is a beautiful card. It's a 4-color patch. It's a beautiful auto, and you can get it for like $1,400. Like when I was getting in the hobby, it's like, okay, so you can get Markel Fultz for like $3,000. You can get these guys that haven't done anything, or you can get a guy who's going to be like a top 5 assists and a steals guy. I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't understand where prices are for some guys. I bought the card because I just think it's beautiful. I think I looked at the sales history. I think I actually paid less than the guy paid for it like 10 years ago for the card. So, I mean,
Wow.
it's just, yeah, there's no ROI on it. There's probably never going to be ROI on it, but
That's a great example, though. Like Chris Paul obviously doesn't have a lot of hobby love because he's sort of not ever gotten far enough in the playoffs on his own. But guys like Hall of Fame player, led the league in assists and steals multiple times. Like he's an amazing player, and his cards are worthless because he's not young anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And, going back to kind of the actual cards themselves, like now I collect stuff that I think looks beautiful and that looks like a little piece of art, because if the world turns upside down and these cards are worthless one day, I at least want to be looking at something that I love that I think looks pretty. So that's kind of, again, I turn into a collector. Anyways, that's kind of my story. Hopefully we didn't go off on too many tangents.
And also rare items.
Yeah. I think this is out of 99. Yeah, it's out of 99.
Like the KD, like there's a story behind the KD and LeBron that there's only 6 of those two combined on an exquisite card. That's something that stands out, right?
Yeah. So on cards, so there's that same year there was like a scripted swatches where it's like on patch auto. There's 5 of those. So I guess they have 11. I don't know. Do your research. I'm not pumping a card.
Still, it's not a lot, right? Like, and now that KD's switched teams again, like I think his Sonic stuff is going to stand out even more.
Yeah, I don't have a clue. I've got one of Kevin Durant's 35 RPA, and it's just a beautiful card. Like I just think it's one of the prettiest cards ever produced, and so I'm gonna hang on to it. And also, real quick, the reason for my name, Devin Grant, I think most people picked up on it, but it's kind of trolling Kevin Durant. It was I created the name around the time his Twitter fiasco happened. I was so mad when KD went to the Warriors. I was so angry with him. I won't get into that why, but I was angry, and so my handle, Devin Cran, it's like me trying to have a KD burner account. But like I said, most people picked up on that. But I've got a ton of respect for Kevin Durant, especially now, and I think he's a class act. He's an all-time talent. That goes without saying. So yeah, man. That's all I got, I think.
Any other cards you got sitting next to you that you want to show?
I'll show this one. This is a LeBron SP Authentic. I really like this one because I love the centering on it, and I love the auto. There's 500 of these, so it's not the most rare card, but I love the pose. I think it's an undervalued card, so yeah.
Can you show it again? Bring it up a little higher.
Yeah, my fault.
There you go, 9.5, sweet.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
So, yeah, I like it a lot. So now continuing, I'm just gonna collect. I just collect Steph and LeBron pretty much now, and I collect some Kawhi Prism stuff, but that's about it. I hope he goes to LA. By the time you air this, he'll probably make a decision. So, but I think he's gonna stay in Toronto.
Toronto, that's your official call?
Yeah, I think. I mean, who knows with him? I'm terrible at predicting free agent moves, but why would he leave Toronto? I think he's got it made in the shade there.
Dude, he's going to the Lakers, I'm telling you.
But so he bought a $15 million house, that's like 2 hours south of the Staples Center. He bought a $1 million property in Canada recently. I think he enrolled his daughter into school in Canada already, I think.
Oh, wow.
But regardless, I think Kawhi. I have a new appreciation for that card because he's rebounding and his trash talk before man gets paid. So again, it's stupid. I appreciate the card and I think it's undervalued, so I'm buying it. But hopefully he goes to the Lakers.
I showed my wife that video and she's like, "What's wrong with that guy?" Mm-hmm. She's like, "Why is he so weird?"
Yeah, he's a different guy, but I love Kawhi too. I went to school in San Antonio, like I said, and so there's a lot of fans of his, and a lot of people mad he left, but it is what it is. So. All
right, man. Well, I'll let you go. Are you going to the National?
I'm not going to the National. I've got a busy work week, and we're dedicating my son. We got a dedication for my son at church that weekend, so I can't go.
Oh, okay, bummer.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I appreciate the time a lot, and like I said, I hope hopefully we can draw some good criticism, piss a lot of people off with this one. So
I'm sure people will be very angry about this.
Yeah, well, hopefully, like I said, message me anytime. But yeah, apologies to everyone that I offended. I mean, I again was 100% wrong, so please forgive me.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you coming on, and I know it took a lot of guts to come on, so I applaud you for that. So I'll catch you later.
All right, man. I'm gonna subscribe to How to Collect Cards right now.
All right, see you, man.
All right, later, man.